Wahoo Nation, the Virginia Cavaliers have done it. They have won the Commonwealth Clash and have clinched their way to go play in Charlotte next Saturday in the ACC Championship. Welcome into this edition of the Cavalier Connection podcast. I'm your host, Jack Lowe, and wow, what a fun night it was here at Scott Stadium at Charlottesville. Final score, 27-7. Virginia Tech just never got it going, and wow, Virginia found a way. There's a lot of doubts going into this game, a lot of nerves. I'll be the first to admit it. I was very nervous going into this game. Virginia needed to find a way to get it done, and boy, did they ever. I mean, I mentioned to my dad and Jay multiple times before the game, I'm like, man, if we could win the coin toss, defer, maybe pop somebody on the kickoff, get a fumble. Well, that didn't happen, but almost just as good of an outcome did. Win the coin toss, defer, kickoff. By the way, terrible move by the kick returner for Tech, whoever that was, taking it literally from his own end zone, from his own sideline, taking it out. Fisher K-Mac gets a piece of Kyron Jones' throw, picked off by Maddux Marcellous, and that's how you kicked off this game. Virginia never looked back. They scored on that very first drive. I mean, just what a fun night, a fun atmosphere. I know there was some complaints about the hill. I get what happened. It is what it is. But when you look around the rest of the seats at Scott Stadium, it was full, it was loud, and there were a lot of Hoos fans. Yeah, there were some Hokie fans. Of course there's going to be. That's what happens when Virginia Tech comes to play. They're one of the closest rivals, closest opponents that Virginia will play. So, of course, there's going to be some Hokie fans. But what does it matter? Virginia finds a way, and what a fun night it was. We'll get into some stats. I have the official. Here we go. Official attendance, 58,832. Very loud. Of course, we didn't get to 60, but it is what it is. I'm happy with what we had. And the tailgating scene was outstanding when you walk around JPJ and the old U-Haul, Fontaine, right up by the stadium. The tailgating was absolutely unbelievable. The scene was absolutely great. And, man, Virginia showed up to play. There were some offensive struggles early. After that first touchdown, they went drought for a little bit. But the defense showed up. They gave up 7 points. But those 7 points all came in the fourth quarter. That it was one touchdown. Sorry. It's cold out here. I'm a little tired. I'm kind of trying to remember my thoughts, what I was going to say. But they scored 6 points, one touchdown the entire game. And that was in the fourth quarter. Kind of garbage time, if you will. Maybe not. But you know, the defense stepped up to play. Kyron Jones only completed, how many? He only completed, I think, 4. Hold on, I'm gonna get this for you for sure. How many passes Kyron Jones completed? Jones completed 4 passes. 4 passes. Now, we knew coming into this game, Virginia Tech's one-dimensional. We knew they couldn't pass the ball well. We knew they're a running team. They like to run with Jones. They like to run with Marcellus Hawkins, who, by the way, was out. It was announced right before the game time that he was out, which was a huge blow for the Hokies, I will admit. But we knew they were one-dimensional. We knew they couldn't pass the ball. Jones completed 4 passes, and his first pass attempt was picked off. He threw for 78 yards, and when you think about it, that final touchdown pass was for 30-something yards. So take that away. I mean, there was no passing. The defense was all over the place, flying all over the field, and not that they even attempted. They attempted 16 times, 2 interceptions, the 1 touchdown. Kyron Jones went down twice as far as sacks go. And, you know, the defense was all over it. Their leading rusher was Jeffrey Overton. He had 54 yards, obviously no touchdowns. His longest was for 31. He ran the ball 11 times. Jones ran the ball 11 times himself, got 45 yards. He had a couple shifty plays, especially on third down, where he was able to escape some pressure, which was really scary. But he made it happen. But even then, still nothing special. Terrion Stewart ran 8 times for 23 yards. And then Cameron Selden ran once for the Hokies, gaining 9 yards. But as for receiving, I mean, Virginia Tech, there's really no impressive numbers. Your leading receiver had 1 reception. That was Shamarius Petterkin, 57 yards, and that was the touchdown pass. That was a 57-yard touchdown pass. So take away that 57 yards off of the 78. Virginia Tech did not pass the ball well at all. Before that, they had completed 3 passes the entire game. And I don't care how good your running game is, but in the year 2025 and how football is played nowadays, you cannot get away with only completing 4 passes. This isn't the 50s when it was all linemen and running the ball every single time. Now, the run game is strong, but the fact that you never got the passing game going, that's never going to work for you in 2025. It was kind of the final hoorah for these Hokies, the staff, the players, as Franklin is coming into town, starting right now, kicking out all the coaches. It's his program now. I'm sure a lot of these players will be turned over to other programs, and Franklin will get his own staff in, his own players in. So it was kind of the final time for Virginia Tech to try and make something happen with this squad. And that kind of closed an era tonight, the Brent Pry era, if you will, the tail end of Justin Fuente and the Brent Pry era for a couple years, who never could get it going. Obviously, he was fired early this season, had the interim coach in. And, they you can look at it two ways. Number one, Virginia Tech could leave it all out on the field one final time under the staff. Or two, they're going to go cry in a hole, basically, and not show up. And I think it was option number two. Never really got it going whatsoever offensively. And then defensively, they showed up a little bit. But Virginia's still able to find a way to put 27 points on the board, which was more than enough with how bad the Hokie offense was. So let's take a look at some of Virginia's offensive stats. Chandler Morris, nothing impressive, but his accuracy and ability to escape the pocket is so good. When you look at the passing stats, it doesn't sound that impressive, but when you watch this game, you know how impressive Chandler Morris was. He finished with 21 completions, 21 of 35, 182 yards, and he didn't have one touchdown pass. You know who did have a touchdown pass, though? Jamari Taylor on the direct snap pass, which me and my dad have been talking about that for weeks, how they're bound to bring it out at some point. They hadn't ran a pass out of that direct snap all year long, and we knew they were saving it. Mike Barber actually asked Elliott from Seville today, asked Elliott about that and how long they've been saving it. He said they've been practicing that for weeks, and Elliott said Kitchens called it at the right time, at the perfect time. And, man, it worked to perfection. Almost reminds you right where I'm standing when Castellanos delivered a jump pass to Florida State, which was a big touchdown for them back early in the season. Crazy to believe how far away that has gotten from us now. Now we're late November. It's about to be December. It's cold out here. I don't know what the official degrees is right now, but, it's cold. That Florida State win feels so long ago now. But anyways, direct snap pass from Jamari Taylor. I think it was Sage Ennis, I want to say, who had it. And he did have a touchdown, or he had the only touchdown reception. So it was Sage Ennis. And, man, it worked to perfection. As for running the ball, that's for Virginia. Virginia ran the ball so well tonight. And that's a part of what we say before every game. If Virginia can get the run game established, they are going to play well and be able to play fake. Obviously, early in the game, had some unsuccessful runs, of course, but eventually got it going in the second half. How about Jamari Taylor? Officially 80 yards off of 20 rushes. Just short. I think he's 3 yards away, I want to say, from getting 1,000 total rushing yards. I could be wrong on that number. I'll have to check that once I'm done here. But Harrison Whaley had a good night, 15 rushes for 46 yards. And also Taylor got in the end zone as well, I must mention. Chandler Morris, 4 rushes for 29 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown he had in this end zone where I'm standing on the other side, outstanding. Rolled out the pocket, had nobody open, kind of runs to the sideline, looks like all hope is lost. Hits a little juke move, and there he has it, a wide open area to just walk into the end zone. Again, Chandler Morris' stats were good tonight, not great. But if you watch this game tonight, you know how great Chandler Morris is and how accurate he is. Coach Nick Saban broke down his film earlier this morning on College Game Day, what feels like 24 hours ago. And he talked about his ability to escape the pocket, knowing when the pressure's getting to him, knowing when the pocket is collapsing, getting out of the pocket, and knowing where his receivers are at all times. You saw that demonstrated so much. Even if some of the passes were dropped, he's putting the ball in perfect spots where nobody else can get him. If anybody's going to catch it, it's going to be a Virginia receiver, or it's going to be dropped. And we saw that a couple times tonight. I mean, his ability to get rid of that football accurately is just unstoppable. And it's one of the best in the ACC. And Chandler Morris is a program changer. And, man, what a season he had. He came to Charlottesville, hoping to get to Charlotte, and he did. They talked about that all morning on ACC Huddle, how that was his main goal, get to a conference championship. And guess what? He's got his shot coming up next Saturday. And Chandler Morris, man, he's been a program changer. He's so good. He is so good tonight. He's been so good all season. He's had lingering injuries all season long, but, man, you wouldn't know it tonight when you watched him play. Such a good quarterback and such a great centerpiece to what Coach Elliott has built and what Coach Kitchings has built with this team. Go Hoos, I see Mason say, hard for me to see comments when I'm broadcasting out here, so if I miss it, I really apologize. We love to interact with fans. With that being said, how about Cam Courtney? And by the way, we had interviews with multiple of these players after the game. They will all be posted on our YouTube at the Cavalier Connection, so look out for that in the next 30 minutes or so. All those interviews will be there, so you can check them all out. We talked to Courtney, and Courtney had such a good day. He stepped into the role of Cam Ross. Ross went down. Coach Elliott said it was a hamstring issue. He should be good to go by next Saturday. So Cam Courtney stepped into that role, that slot receiver role, which we know that's kind of his specialty, step into the slot. And then also, kick return and punt return. And he received a couple punts and caught a couple fair catches. He finished with 6 receptions. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions for 50 yards, almost had a touchdown right where I'm standing, made a great juke move, had some open green grass, and then got caught up by a Hokie. But he's so quick, and I'm really excited for him. I talked with him. He won state championships at Freedom. He was outstanding at Freedom High School. But I asked him, what does it mean to do it at the college level, the Power 4 level, to conquer the state, quote unquote? And I know some JMU fans will say, well, you guys didn't beat us. You didn't play us this year. Yeah, whatever. It's the Commonwealth Clash, and Virginia won. A great night from Cam Courtney. A lot of great effort. Terrell Harris had a big 27. I want to say it was a 27-yard reception. 26-yard reception he had on that first drive on a third down play, wide open on what looked like a crosser route, deep crosser route, and he caught that one. And then he finished with 5 receptions for 43 yards. Didn't get a touchdown on the board. Jamari Taylor had 34 yards off of 4 receptions. And then you look down the list, Jamal Edrin playing a role off the stat sheet. His blocking, man, that run blocking. He got himself into a fight with the run blocking. Man, he's so strong. You can't bring him down. And you saw on his one reception, his 10-yard reception where he hit initial contact immediately, but he stayed on his feet. They could not bring him down. Jamal Edrin is a different type of species when it comes to this wide receiver room. So strong, so big. You can't stop him. Then Sage just had the touchdown on the jump pass, as I mentioned. I don't know if it was considered a jump pass. I'll have to watch it back. But regardless, direct snap pass. Went to Ennis wide open, no defensive coverage anywhere to be seen. And then John Rogers had himself a reception for 17 yards. Eli Wood got in on the action of reception for 7 yards. And then Cam Ross had the 1 reception at the beginning for just a yard. So, and Virginia ran that wide receiver screen a lot in the first quarter, which kind of concerned me. So Virginia Tech was all over it early, but it turned out to work out big time. Cam Courtney had the big reception as well as others. So that's pretty much it for offensive stats. And Will Bettridge kicked 2 good field goals, 27 yards and 32 yards for Mr. Bettridge. Never a doubt for him tonight. And it's pretty much it for offensive stats. I want to get to defensive stats. The defense was so good tonight. An absence of Cam Robinson for the rest of the year, and you would never know that he was the leader of this defense with how well they played tonight. Defensive stats. Here we go. Maddux Marcellous. Let's talk about Maddux really quick. We talked about him earlier in the week, how he would have to step into this role that we were talking about of a leader in that linebacker room. This is his first ever start. And man, did he show up. The first play, like we already mentioned, came back, tips it up. He finds the ball, comes down with it. Such a huge play for Maddux Marcellous, just for his confidence as well. You know, he was ready to play. He mentioned after the game he was playing for Cam. That entire defensive locker room was playing for Cam Robinson tonight. And man, did they do that. And they played so well. And then he also had a sack where he exploded on Kyron Jones. Kyron Jones, he kind of jumped at him. One of those sacks where it's almost like a roughing the passer because he went so hard. He flew from the linebacker position, plugged the gap, and he was all over Kyron Jones on that sack. It was an electrifying sack. He led the team in tackles tonight with 9, and then he had the interception. He had the sack, he was credited with half a sack there. I think he should have gotten a full sack. The other half was Danny Rickert was also there, and he had a tackle for loss, made it for 5 yards, which was awesome. Man, Maddux, what a game changer he was tonight. And then second in tackles is James Jackson with 5. He also had to kind of step into that role, knowing that Cam Robinson was not playing, and he was good tackling. And you know, Elliott and his staff always talk about they want their linebackers to lead the team in tackles because that means they're not getting past the linebackers. So that was achieved tonight. Other tackles for loss came from Corey Costner had one, Danny Rickert, and then a half a tackle for loss for both Caleb Hardy and Jason Hammond, who got after Kyron Jones in the third quarter, I want to say. And they were rolling, man. They were absolutely rolling. As for the other interception, Antonio Clary, man, I want to talk about this really quick. how great was it to see Antonio Clary get his spot to shine on his final ever home game? He's been with this program for so long, and for him to get the pick to basically seal, I mean, the game was kind of sealed and never really had a game-sealing moment, but for him to get that interception in his final home game, he's been through so much with this program. And normally in a close game situation, you're like, knock it down. You don't want to pick that off. You want to take the field position. But it didn't matter. You're up by 24 points, I think it was at the time, maybe 27, whatever it was. You're like, man, pick that off. He wanted to keep the ball. Unfortunately, the ball boy had to get the ball back. But, man, what a way for Clary to go out. And, again, season's not over. They get to Charlotte next week. We'll talk about that later. But for his final game against Virginia Tech, he gets to end it on such a high note. Which, by the way, Clary was a part. People forget Clary was a part of that 2019 team that beat Virginia Tech. He was I want to say he was a redshirt at the time. I don't think he played, but regardless, man, what a career for Clary, and to get to end it like that, man, that is outstanding. Great stuff from Antonio Clary to get that interception, pretty much game sealing. Other than that, half a sack for Caleb Hardy, a half a sack for Jason Hammond. Again, getting after the quarterback, getting after Kyron Jones. As well as the tailbacks, and that's pretty much it for defensive stats. The breakups, K-Mac we mentioned, as well as I want to make sure I get the right name here. Ethan Minter had a big breakup on a third down. That was big from him, and the entire secondary was great tonight. Again, you had the one big play in the fourth quarter. Other than that, the secondary was outstanding. Again, they weren't tested but so much because Virginia Tech runs the ball so much. But when they were tested, you saw that secondary room go nuts. The secondary was so good when they were tested and never really gave up that big play other than that one touchdown that they scored in the fourth quarter. But other than that, man, that's pretty much going to wrap us up. Listen, Charlotte, next week. Coach Elliott talked about this before the season at ACC kickoff in Charlotte, how he had the confidence. He wanted to get to Charlotte this year. He wanted to get to the ACC championship this year. Some media rolled their eyes. They picked Virginia to finish, I think, 14th. I always forget the number. I think 14th preseason, the ACC media poll. And, man, he accomplished it tonight. And I can't help but mention the smile on Elliott's face when he came to the press conference tonight, knowing that he'd done that. And I think Preston, shout out who's on podcast at Saber, asked him about that. And it's just pure joy from Elliott. Pure joy. And I could not be happier for him. I've really believed in Elliott for a long time, and I'm really glad to see this come to fruition for him. First of all, to conquer the state like that. And then you're getting to Charlotte. You're getting a chance to play for an ACC championship. That's a Power 4 conference. You're getting a chance to play for an ACC championship. And then not to mention, this is another conversation for another day. If you win the ACC championship, you're headed to the playoffs. This is the playoffs we're talking about. Playoffs? Yes, playoffs. What an opportunity at hand for the Virginia Cavaliers. And by the way, myself and the other media was sitting in the press box watching the end of the Cal-SMU game. How crazy is that? SMU misses the game-tying field goal. Cal wins. SMU out. Duke in. The Duke Blue Devils will be playing the Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia is considered the home team next Saturday in Charlotte. How crazy. Duke really lost all hope in the race, but they find a way to make it in. They beat Wake. Pretty close game, I think. I didn't watch it, but I know it was close at certain points. Beat Wake today. They did their job. And then Pitt lost to Miami by a lot of points. And then you had Cal beat SMU, which is wild because Cal just fired their head coach last week. And I think it was either Coach Jimbo Fisher. Somebody said it this morning where the reason why Cal fired their coach last week was in case Cal did win this week, because if they did win this week, then it's, it's hard to fire him after a win like that. And they finished the year 7-5, which is the same record as Duke, and Duke is in the ACC championship. So we're getting a rematch. The first game was kind of a neutral site anyways at Durham. A lot of Virginia fans there. I expect a lot of Virginia fans in Charlotte next Saturday. It should be a fun one. I'll be there. And, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to see what happens. But the rematch, Virginia handled Duke very handily last week or 2 weeks ago. But you got to remember, it's so tough to beat a team 2 times in one season. Duke has some tape on us now. We have some tape on them now. And throw all the records out the window. This is a competition for the ACC championship. And the Virginia Cavaliers have such an opportunity at hand to potentially win the ACC as Elliott's biggest goal, and that was the entire team's biggest goal. Everybody was bought into the locker room. Their goal this year was to win the ACC, get to Charlotte and win the ACC, and they have an opportunity at hand to do that. Not only that, they have a chance to go to the playoffs. What an opportunity at hand for Virginia, man. And we had another comment in here I'll try and get to. You made Nat Skins. It was a great day. Again, sorry if I'm missing some of your comments. It's really tough to see when I broadcast from here on the field, but it was a great day. I'll tell you what, this morning, my dad and my brother went to ACC Huddle. I watched it from the hotel after covering the Queens basketball game last night. And I took like a 3.5 mile walk during the day trying to pass the time. It was a struggle waiting for 7 o'clock to get here. And it was cold. It wasn't that bad during the day, but right now it's freezing out here. Again, I don't know the official degrees. But what a fun night, man. There was always a small bit of doubt in the first half where it's like, okay, we've seen this before, Virginia has a lead. Can they hold on to it? And, man, it was never a doubt in the second half where they just slowly pulled away, slower and slower and slower to the point where you look up at the scoreboard, it's a 24-point game. They kicked 3 with Will Bettridge, 27-point game. That's where I officially went, okay. I took a deep breath. They've got it. And the Commonwealth Cup comes back home to Charlottesville. Could not find the Commonwealth Cup trophy, by the way, on the field. The field rush happened. Security did a good job. They kept the field rush from happening. And then once the players went over to the student section to celebrate, that's when they came out onto the field. And I will say, I think UVA is going to avoid the fine because they gave Tech the chance to get off the field, which is good. But a much safer field rush than the Florida State one. And then once we got to the media room, Noah Josie came in for his interviews, and he had the Commonwealth Cup, and it was really cool. And again, an interview with Noah Josie will be posted later tonight on our YouTube channel at the Cavalier Connection, probably in the next half hour or so. Man, what a fun night. And I talked with Jameer Carter as well, who has been such a big part of this program, just like Clary. He's been around for so long, 6 years, and he's been through all the ups, and he's been through so many downs. With this rivalry, the Commonwealth Clash, Clary mentioned 2 years ago when Virginia Tech came here and their fans rushed our field and how embarrassing that was. So he felt disrespected by that, and they were able to make it happen, man. And I couldn't be happier. Virginia gets bragging rights for the next 365 days. I know James Franklin's coming into town. I know Tech fans are going to talk about that. But what doesn't matter is the fact that Virginia won, and Virginia has the bragging rights, and now Virginia has a chance to do something very, very big next Saturday. So, as always, go check out thecavalierconnection.com. We'll break down this win more on there, as well as content. Hey, we've got another week of football. They're playing in Conference Championship Saturday. So we're going to preview all that on thecavalierconnection.com this week. It's going to be a lot of fun, as well as Virginia plays Texas in basketball this week. I want to say it's Wednesday or Thursday, one or the other. So we'll talk about that. And obviously, we'll have more episodes recapping this game, as well as previewing that matchup against Duke next Saturday. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Really appreciate all of you joining me for the ride. It was such a fun season here at Scott Stadium, as the staff is now clearing it out for the final time this year. Man, what an unforgettable season. Only one loss at home. That was to Wake Forest a couple weeks ago. And, man, it's such a fun season. Field was rushed twice, and all those wins. Man, it's going to be an unforgettable season. The greatest in my lifetime for sure. The one that comes closest is 2019. But, man, they have an opportunity to go win the ACC. I don't know what their ranking will be after this, but regardless of the situation, it's such a fun season here at Scott Stadium. I want to thank all the communication staff at Virginia for helping us out all season long, and everybody that was involved, and man, Coach Elliott and his staff, they're getting it done. Now they have an opportunity Saturday, so that's going to wrap us up. Go check out thecavalierconnection.com. Follow me at X at WahooJack06, and all the social medias. Go check us out on Apple and Spotify, as we are on now. At the Cavalier Connection. That's going to wrap us up. From Charlottesville, one final time, I've been Jack Lowe. So long, everybody, and go Hoos.